Man, talk about getting beat down with no hands and feet. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Joe Rogan destroying Brian Stelter from CNN. Now, a lot of what Joe Rogan said in this clip, which we'll get to in a minute, I've been saying for a very long time. I've been saying it, and it's a great observation from Joe Rogan, very successful over there on, on the Spotify's. So shout out to him, one of the top dogs. He's able to see what's going on, and Joe Rogan's success and the success of many of us on alternative media platforms is going to be the way of the future. People like Brian Stelter over at the legacy media, CNN, ABC, MS13, DNC, and some of these papers, Washington Post, Huffington Post, New York Times, and etc. They're going to go the way of the dodo bird in a very short period of time, in my humble opinion. But before I go any further, let's go ahead and roll the audio clip only. I can't play the video, obviously. After we get done listening to that, I'll come back. I'll talk about the rest of what he said. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents and my deep, detailed analysis. And then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Remember when CNN was talking about podcasters, about how, that there's people on YouTube that get more views than a CNN show, as if it was some horrible thing. They didn't even understand the way they were describing it. They were describing it as if they're entitled to viewers.
That's right.
They were saying, there's people on YouTube right now that get more views than this show. This is because the market is spoken.
Right.
And your show's fucking terrible.
That's right.
Well,
they suck.
Brian
They're terrible at their job.
Stelter's show keeps slipping and slipping and slipping in the ratings.
He's the worst. And you know
Same
what they
with Don
do?
Lemon. It's the same thing. Everybody knows that they're not real. They're not real humans.
And Joe, when you read those articles and you listen to those guys talk, Stelter's done this a number of times. There are segments where they're outright calling for censorship.
Yes.
They're like, hey, please deplatform the people who I don't like because, they're saying things that are conspiracy theories. And by the way, they use that for anything. They use it so loosely.
Brian Stelter talking to the press secretary saying, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? Like, hey, you're supposed to be a journalist.
And they wonder why they get no views.
But it's not even that. It's like they're obviously being told a certain amount of what to do. And I mean, maybe he'd be an interesting guy if he had his own podcast, if he could just rely on his own personality and be himself. I don't know. I can't imagine doing that gig.
No, you're 100% right.
Any of those guys, that gig is a strange gig.
All right. Now, you saw that, you heard that. Now, that's right on point. Right on point. Brian Stelter is not a personality in himself. Brian Stelter is just an employee of CNN. And it's not wrong being a CNN employee. It's okay. But Brian Stelter is trying to attack those of us that are on the internet, those of us that have podcasts and everything else. But what he may not understand, or what he may understand but could be envious and hateful of it, is that we have personalities on our own. You see, we can go on a podcast, we can go on a YouTube, make it interesting. People want to watch us. They look forward to watching us. Aside from the personality factor, which is really big because you don't want to see anybody looking like, you just pretty much watching paint dry for 72 hours straight. You don't want to have that going on. But at the same time, you have to be an honest person. You got to be a truthful person. Okay? Stand in your convictions. Whatever you believe in, stand on that all the time. And don't waver, don't fold, don't change up when your boss tell you to change up. Now, that's the worst thing to do right here on the YouTubes. If you start off one way, you have certain opinions and certain views, then you change. Every video you're going to put out will get ratioed because now it's like, well, who are you really? You're fake. You say one thing 1 minute and a different thing the next minute. So who are you for real? People, they lose trust in you and they lose trust in whatever you're talking about as well. This is a phenomenon that can be seen all over mainstream media, everywhere. Stories that were covered unfavorably under Trump are now covered favorably under Biden. Okay, things that the media attacked Trump for last time, they give Biden the pass for this time. So it's like, all right, at a certain point, regular, average, everyday normies like you and I watching this are saying, hey, wait a minute, this ain't right. Why are they giving Biden favorable coverage or totally ignoring it? When he fell down on the airplane stairs, why wasn't that wall-to-wall news coverage? If Trump was so much as just trip a little bit, not even fall, but trip a little bit, that'd be front page news. All right. When Trump had the hamburgers and hot dogs and whatnot from the fast food joint for the football players, that was front page news for forever. All right. But when Biden, like when he almost breaks his hip on the airplane stairs, oh, that's no big deal. When he's talking to foreign leaders and they doing all this kind of stuff, pointing in his face like Emmanuel Macron did, or giving him a little grandma in church arm like Boris Johnson did, they totally ignore that. They make up things that simply are not true. And I understand, you want to ride for your team maybe if you are CNN and you are dedicated to attacking Trump and dedicated to supporting Joe Biden and a liberal democratic agenda. Okay, we get that. These networks have their particular viewpoints. All right, cool. But don't just come out and lie with it, right? And then even a Fox News, like Fox is a good network. Are they perfect? Absolutely not. But they are not terrible. Tucker Carlson, Harris Faulkner, Charles Payne. There's a lot of good guys and girls on that network. So shout out to them. However, sometimes they got to do this whole corporate thing. They got to have Caitlyn Jenner, whatever their name is, on there, and then kind of like go above and beyond and try to do all this, gender naming and pronoun stuff. It gets to be a little cringy, but I understand because you have advertisers, you got bosses, you got executives. But when you come on to YouTube, Spotify, Apple iTunes, etc., alternative media, that corporate boss does not really exist. It's not really there, and when you have leverage to go wherever you want to go, as far as if you want to be like a Joe Rogan and go to Spotify, you can say, all right, I'm on Spotify, they're giving me a deal, but if they want to act crazy, they want to try to censor me, how about we go ahead and just cancel that deal? How about we just go ahead and do something else? You guys are trying to tell me I can't do X, Y, and Z. I'll start a whole new podcast and go to Apple iTunes and give them the exclusive rights to that. Or I'll go back to YouTube, or I'll do my own platform, my own website, like the way Alex Jones does it on his Infowars.com, right? You can't really stop it. You can't stop us. You're trying to attack us, Brian Stelter, because we are doing things that you can't do. We have personalities. We don't have bosses. We have more freedom to do different things. Now, of course, they try to censor us on whatnot on social media and stuff, but we got websites. We have the entire internet. It's still the wild, wild west in many ways. I got my own website. What they going to do on there? Okay, they censor all the HCQ stories on the internets as far as social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. But guess what? It went viral on my website, 10 million, 20 million views. You can't stop it. They want to attack us because we can do what they cannot do. So as I close, I want to say this. Brian Stelter's CNN show is insufferable. People don't want to see him. He has a face for radio, keeping it all the way real. I'm not necessarily the picture of beauty over here, but good grief. I mean, Brian Stelter, 35 years old, looking like he's about 175 years old, right? You got a face for radio. Your personality is dry. Your commentary is terrible. Your network is terrible. The ratings overall for CNN are down, down, down. You're talking about like what, 60 to 70%? A drop in ratings because you're not able to attack Trump every day, which was for a very long time your main audience. They were tuned in for that. It kind of stopped the bleeding from the cord cutting, which is a real thing that's going on. You guys have not really embraced the internet as much. You're still trying to be on television. You're still trying to be in airports. You're losing the airports. If you've not lost all the airports, you're losing the Trump haters. That's why you still trying to hang on with this whole Trump narrative. Shout out to Mark Dice. I didn't even know this, but he said in his video that CNN has done not one, not two, but they're on 3 documentaries about January 6th. Why so many? How many documentaries do you need? Okay, you could put one out and that'll pretty much get the point across. Why you need to have 3? It's because people only watch that type of stuff. You want to still involve Trump in all your news coverage and all of your stories. It could be a 85 car pileup and somehow Trump would get brought up. Okay, 85 car pileup. on the New York Expressway. And you know what? Trump used to drive on this expressway too, and his son, Jared Kushner, and they're stealing money from the United States citizens going golfing. It's like, how did we get from point A to point B? Because they know what their audience wants. They're not able to provide it. They're losing ratings. They're getting desperate. So then they want to try to attack everyone, including us. Don't attack me. Look at yourself and your own business model and see where it's flawed and try to fix it. How about that? But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Brian Stelter? Is he a great journalist, a great CNN anchor, host, whatever he wants to call himself? Am I a hater for believing the opposite? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about what Joe Rogan said about Stelter? And how do you feel about Joe Rogan in general? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments. You guys know where I stand. The lamestream media, old school media, they're dying and they don't want to go. They're grasping for air. It's like you getting drowned underwater and you doing all that kind of stuff right there trying to get some air, right? That's what they're doing. But hey, quite frankly, they're doing it to themselves. It's not even like they're underwater. They're in quicksand. And rather than trying to get some help to get out, rather than doing the proper things to get out of the quicksand, they're just struggling and doing things. They're doing the opposite of what it would take to get out. So they're making themselves get deeper and deeper and deeper into the quicksand while they want to blame everyone else for them sinking. It's like, it's your fault, really. It's your fault. You're not adapting to the times. You're not getting the best talent on your network. It's your fault. That's your problem. Deal with it. Don't attack us. Don't hate. How about you participate in delivering real news? Participate in delivering good hosts, good personalities. You know, stop with this holding on to your legacy. Advance. If you don't want to advance and you kind of want to stay in the past, that's where you will be left. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.